Welcome to Friday's edition of our study through the book of 1 Corinthians. Today we're going to pick up in 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, verse number 44. We're talking about our resurrected bodies. And again, and I've said this a couple times, the Apostle Paul is writing this because there are people in Corinth that are destroying the hope of believers. And they're destroying the hope of believers by saying there is no resurrection. The resurrection is just a hoax. It's not real. Or maybe they were saying, yeah, we're going to be raised in some type of metaphysical body. Then the Apostle Paul has made it very clear that our bodies are going to be physical. And we talked yesterday about Jesus' resurrected body. It's the only body we can compare our new bodies to. Now today, the Apostle Paul writes in verse number 44, and he says, it is sown a natural body. Now, we need to understand this word natural. This word natural does not mean a physical body. Actually, the Greek word for natural it's the Greek word psychikos. Now, psyche is another word for soul. We get our word psychiatry from this Greek word, psychos. What's the Apostle Paul saying? He's saying our bodies in this life, our natural bodies, are soul-based bodies. How many of you know that if your soul doesn't feel good, if your soul is wounded, and by the way, your soul is your mind, will, and your emotions, that it begins to affect the way your body, your physical body, begins to respond. So he says, it is sown in a natural body, a soulish body, but it's raised a spiritual body. Our new bodies are not going to be governed by our souls. Now, we need to understand that a man is made up of three parts, just as the Godhead is made up of three parts, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Man is also a triune being. We have three parts. We have inside of us a spirit. When we became born again, our spirit was filled with the Spirit of God. We have a soul, mind, will, and emotions. And we have a natural body. In our supernatural body, we are no longer going to be led by our souls. By the way, let me just say this. Even as believers now before the resurrection, it should be our goal to be spirit-led instead of being soulish-led. Instead of being led by our feelings, instead of being led by our minds, instead of being led by our desires, we need to work at being led by the Spirit. But when we have our resurrected bodies, you know what? That struggle between soul and spirit is done. We are going to live in a body that's led and run by the Spirit of God. Our spirits will begin to govern everything that we do. So what does that mean? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, meekness, self-control, all the fruits of the Spirit. Instead of having to work at it, they're going to be there. Heaven is going to be wonderful because we're going to walk around heaven. We're going to walk around on a new earth. We're going to walk around with a new sky, with a new celestial bodies. And we're going to walk around, instead of being governed by fear and all of these other things, we are going to be governed by the Spirit of God. We are going to have a spiritual body. If there is a natural body, there is also a spiritual body. That's what the Apostle Paul says in the end of verse number 44. Our natural bodies show us something. They show us that there's a body coming to us in the resurrection that's going to be spirit controlled completely. Now, verse number 45. So also it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living soul. The last Adam, a life-giving spirit. How many of you know Adam became a living soul? How did he become a living soul? Was he created that way? No. He became a living soul when he sinned. He was a person that was in complete relationship with God until he took and he ate the fruit. And basically, it wasn't the eating of the fruit, it was the disobedience to God's command. This desire to be God himself. And he became. What did he become? He became a living soul. In other words, he began to live by his soul. You know, Adam never had a fear in his life until he ate the fruit. He never had depression. He never had a lack of peace. He never had a lack of love until he ate the fruit. But Jesus came, and Jesus is the last Adam. And what did Jesus do? He is a life-giving spirit. Now, the word here in the New American Standard, he says, and the last Adam became. The word became is not in the Greek text. Throw it out. Read the New Living Translation, because the New Living Translation translates this right. Jesus, the last Adam. What was he? He was a life-giving spirit. Our new bodies are going to be governed with a life-giving spirit. Verse number 46. However, the spiritual is not first, but the natural, and then the spiritual. First, before we could ever experience a body that's spiritual, we need to be born in a natural body. How many of you know the angels are not going to have the body that we're going to have? The first thing is you have to be born of water. Jesus told Nicodemus, he said, you need to be born of water and the Spirit. Born of water means that you are naturally born. And because you are naturally born, you are a candidate to someday receive a spiritual body. Now, how do you receive that spiritual body? You receive it by saying, Jesus, I surrender my life to you. Forgive me of my sins. I declare you to be the Lord of my life. And the second that you do that, and you mean it from the depths of your heart, you are born again, and your spirit man becomes new. And you know what? That spirit man is going to be like your resurrected body. It's going to be whole. What a wonderful hope. What a wonderful thing that we are heading towards as believers. Thank you for watching this week. Join us again next week as we continue our study in the book of 1 Corinthians.